Central Illinois is the CI in CI Living.
Today we are diving into the inspiring and impactful story of a local leader in the business world and a true encouragement expert, Habeeb Habeeb. Habeeb, I'm glad to have you here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. I know that you are known maybe as the chocolate guy at church or the business leader in our community or the guy that you hear on the radio for encouragement. You have a number of hats that you wear. I want to put your story in context for so many people out there that admire you maybe from a distance. And I want to take it all the way back to the age of 17. Will you just start us there?
Sure. Well, I grew up in Lebanon. That's Lebanon way back in the Middle East. And I was a very shy, timid guy. I was good in school. And I had aspirations to become a doctor so that I can provide for my family. We were not rich. We were paycheck to paycheck. My mom was an English teacher. My dad used to be a policeman, but then retired, got married. He didn't want, a dangerous job, and then did other work. But anyway, I was the opportunity to make money. And there were some things in the Middle East that were happening in the area surrounding us. We were a very peaceful country, but the area surrounding us was kind of tough. And so I thought, I cannot afford for my education to be interrupted. I could have gone to the American University in Beirut, which was an awesome university. But I thought, I need to get out of Lebanon, be a doctor, and come back. Things will settle down by then. I had never left home before, never left the country, never been on my own without my parents outside the house. I was pretty sheltered. And I was a good kid. And I thought, I'm just going to go to America because I learned English from kindergarten. We start with 2 languages, our language and a second language. My second language was English. Oh. And then a third language was French in high school. So I'm kind of trilingual.
It's impressive.
But, well, if you start at kindergarten, it's kind of easy.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity to come to an English-speaking country, either England or America, and I chose America. And right next to our house in Beirut was a Nazarene church we were attending. And at that time, I hadn't told anybody, I sent applications in real mail. This is the 70s, early 70s. You had to send an application to the university. They sent you a paper application. So I'm coming from the East. I looked for medical schools on the East Coast. I thought Georgetown and Maryland were 2 good medical schools. So I applied for them. I asked for an application, and I received them. And the preacher, who was American at the church we were attending right next to us, said, Habeeb, I heard you're going to America. I said, well, not yet. I'm going to apply. Where are you applying? I said, Georgetown in Maryland. He said, do you know how large Maryland is? I said, yes, 100,000 students across their campuses at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought that was a good thing. He goes, Habeeb, I know your personality. You're going to have a lot to overcome when you get there. And with your personality, you need a small school. I said, I don't know any small schools that are med schools. He goes, you don't even need a med school. You enter, you get a bachelor's, biology or chemistry, and then you go to medical school. I didn't know any of that. I said, I don't know any small schools. He said, the Nazarenes have several schools. I said, which is the best? He said, Olivet, which is, we're in Champaign here. It's an hour north of here.
Yeah.
And so he said, I'll help you. So he convinced me. He got me an application. I applied. They gave me a third scholarship. They promised they will give me a job on campus for the other third, and my parents were supposed to cover the last third. And so at the age of 17, I had never flown before. I prayed to God. I said, Lord, just help the airplane not crash.
Yeah.
And I'm up in the airplane and landed in America, and here I am in Illinois, of all places. People ask me, why did you come to Illinois, of all places? Well, I had a connection. And when I landed, it was January 74. Boy, it was in the single digits. This is Fahrenheit single digits. It was cold.
I believe it.
Cold. And I come from a Southern California type weather.
Wow.
So I was freezing, and it was flat, and Lebanon is hilly and green, and pine trees and cedar trees everywhere. And so anyway, that was a big shock. But I knew English. I didn't know American English. and I started going to school. People were great. You know, kids are kids, but there were so many good people. But only 16 months later, we had civil war in Lebanon. And the civil war was very ugly, really horrible, kind of like the civil war, exactly like the civil war in Syria now or Ukraine. People are on the run, people getting bombed. I was disconnected from my parents for months on end sometimes. And so the turning point was, I studied in 74 and 75, and my parents had paid for my tuition for 75, 76 school year. Just before the war started, they had just paid for my tuition. So I was paid up for till May 76. But the war was still raging. I couldn't renew my visa because I couldn't pay my tuition and register for the next semester. And the university wouldn't register me without renewing my visa, so it was a catch-22.